Good evening, Vinyl community. It's Rob here for another video. It's Friday night. I'm at my mum's in the pink attic as usual. I don't think I have coronavirus. So obviously that's why I'm here, because if I did, I certainly wouldn't be around here giving it to my elderly mother. Yeah, so I know it's a worry for everybody, and it's becoming, in the media, all the left, right, and centre, and can't help but be absorbed into it, because it's every time you turn on the radio or the TV or your phone or whatever, it's coronavirus, this and that. Yeah, and obviously we need to be concerned, but this is my isolation in the attic, and I'm not going to mention coronavirus again anyway. But obviously my sympathies for anybody out there who has lost anybody with it, seriously, obviously. Obviously, guys, hope you all stay safe, and let's hope this thing blows over relatively quickly. So anyway, I've got all the serious stuff out of the way. Why am I here this evening? Well, I'm here to celebrate Bill, the Vinylverse, 700 subscriptions. And I would very much like to put an entry in for his competition. Bill, he's a great guy. I've not been on obviously making videos on the vinyl community for very long, and there's so many people in the vinyl community. Until quite recently, I hadn't actually stumbled across his channel. But when I did, I was very glad I did. I found out he was a very warm, very lovely human being, just a really nice, personable guy. With great taste as well, very eclectic taste. Obviously, he's a huge Genesis fan, of which obviously part of this, hence one of the questions obviously in this competition. Which is obviously very, very apt, because he's a super fan. Now I've discovered his channel, I've experienced, how entertaining his videos are and how warm he is, and the way he comes across and talks about the records, and it's great, and I shall look forward obviously to delving in a bit deeper. So I'd like to, without any sort of further ado, get on with the competition. So the first question is how did you learn about the VC, and when did you start making videos? It was really weird the way I came across the VC, because I used to watch a lot of documentary videos on YouTube, on various artists that I was interested in. There's so much content. It's YouTube is the ultimate media rabbit hole. Once you click onto an act or an artist or a group or something like, they tag you in, and the algorithms, and then there's more and more stuff gets presented to you, and you can spend sort of weeks and months even just looking at videos on one artist, and then of course there's all the comments that people make, which sometimes are interesting, sometimes they're not, but you can get ensconced into that. But anyway, I was literally just flicking through videos, and it was possibly something to do with the Beatles, because I'm a big Beatles fan, as I've mentioned before, and I'm always watching documentaries on the Beatles, or you know, the individual Beatles, Lennon, McCartney, Harrison, whatever. And all of a sudden, this video appeared from this guy called James Griffiths. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I thought, I wonder what's all that about. And I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, James, but this is going back probably about 3-4 years now. And I think he was working in a charity shop, or doing some work in a charity, or doing some volunteering work or something like that. And he had a load of records that had come in, and he was sorting them out. And he did this video where he was sorting all the records out, and obviously he took some for himself. Excuse me. And, you know, he was going through them and, you know, grading them, pricing them up and so on, you know, on his computer and so on. And he, you know, took a list or inventory of ones that he was interested in, that he would like to buy himself. And you know, it was sort of compelling, this video, you know, because you were watching all these, you know, going through all these records, and, you know, it was sort of, you know, sort of classical and, you know, easy listening and all the rest of it, you know. And then there was the, you know, Blondie album, or, you know, Duran Duran album, whatever, you know, there's a few gems that kind of came out, and you know, and then he sort of had to give the price that he'd be prepared to pay for them. And then they, obviously the powers that be of the charity shop would decide whether or not they were going to accept his offer. So anyway, sorry, I'm wittering on far too long, as I usually do about this, but it got me interested anyway. And I started watching this, and he was talking about, you know, being a member of this vinyl community and showing records. And I thought, oh, wow, you know, a community of people showing records, you know, and talking about music and all the rest of it. And it was almost like the kind of thing that that I'd always wanted, or always hoped to find, but didn't know where to look for it, because obviously I would never have put in as a YouTube or Google search vinyl community, you know. So yeah, it just completely randomly just came across it, and I just found him to be a very, very personal guy. As you know, a lot of you know James. He's a regular on the vinyl community. I know he's taken a hiatus here and there over the years, obviously, you know, like, you know, because everybody's got commitments in their lives, things that they want to do that take precedence. But yeah, and he, you know, he's got a great channel, and you know, he talks about you know, the Beatles and his love of music, and he talks very openly and honestly about the music, and you get a real sense of not only him, but also his love for the music and his passion behind it, and that comes through, you know, and you want to find out more, and I did, and I you know, I started going back through his you know, his video feed and stuff that he'd done over the years, and yeah, you know, great. I mean, you know, all his videos were entertaining, you know. He's obviously also known as Beatle James, where he does, you know, he talks about the Beatles in a lot of detail, and about the individual Beatles, and those records and so on. And again, it's very, very interesting. Yeah, fabulous. So yeah, and then obviously after discovering James, it then kind of, you know, you know, other channels started to come up as well. I think the next one after James was Dots and Loops, old Dan there in the States. And yeah, I mean, you know, he's a force of nature if ever there was one. You know, it was like, Hi, it's Dan, Data Loops, and it's just like, wow, just this explosion, straight away, and showing all this amazing 60s stuff and psychedelic records, and, stuff I'd only heard people whisper about, and never seen the covers or the albums. Obviously there was some stuff that I had seen, classic stuff, but hell of a lot of the stuff that I hadn't. And yeah, I mean, he's I've learned so much from, the 60s music and so on, and watching his channels, because he's again, his verve and enthusiasm and is infectious, and you watch him, and you just want to watch more, and you can't wait for the next video to be uploaded, and so yeah. Yeah, and I think the next one was Nas Nomad, aka Mr. David Michaels in Canada, who is the ultimate, what I call the ultimate thrifter, because I mean, he's had a career in the music industry. He's explained that. I think he was a manager of a shop for a while. But yeah, again, he does these very straightforward videos. He maybe a bit like me. He just hits the button. I don't think there's any editing involved. What you see is what you get. Very personable. Talks about the music that he loves. He's a hugely eclectic, probably more than anybody else on the VC, and absolutely shameless about it. And why not? And yeah, he collects multiple copies of albums. I think Fleetwood Mac records in particular, like Rumours. I think he's got about 20 copies of Rumours or something for his last count, because he can't leave them behind. But he just sees these great records, in these thrift shop. He's got one around the corner, I think, from that he goes to. And I know he says he strikes out a lot, but, the times that he does, he does strike gold. It's incredible, so yeah. But anyway, sorry, I'm going off on a long tangent again to reel me back in, but yeah, it was just weird, really, because there just seemed to be, the vinyl community seems to be dominated by people in the US, and I suppose that's not surprising in a way, because it's obviously the demographic is such a huge country. But I think it was Rob Walker said the other night on his video that there's just not enough people from the UK making videos in the vinyl community, or if there are, I've not stumbled across them. There's a couple of guys who have turned up this year, which I'll talk about towards the end of the video, for the because that's one of the questions for shout out. So even though I've probably done all the shout outs already, so I'm doing this all completely the wrong order, so I do apologize, Bill, sorry. But yeah, anyway, so that's just a little bit of how I stumbled across the vinyl community, which was completely by accident. As for me, as you probably know, I've only joined since the beginning of January, so only a couple of months. I'm a novice compared to a lot of VCers who are veterans of this fabulous group. So I'm learning all the time. It is an education, and I guess I watched a lot of different styles of video, and I mean, that's the great thing about the VC, is that everybody has their own style. Everybody is into different music, but everybody has a valid reason for being here and making their videos, because everybody has something unique to say about music. It's totally subjective. And that's the fascinating thing about it, is that everybody has their own spin on it, and I'm fascinated to know why people like a particular record or album, not just the factoids about the group, and showing the record and the pressing, the colour of the vinyl, whatever. I mean, that's interesting as well, but obviously you like to have a little bit of the person coming through, how it affects them, how it makes them feel, how it improves their life, how it makes them, just, yeah, there's so much wonderment that comes from listening to music, and the emotional, the way it affects us emotionally and on so many levels. It's endlessly fascinating. So anyway, yeah. So question 2: show an album or two you picked up from seeing it on a VC video. Okay. I think I'm actually going to go through my shout outs as I go through this, because I can't help answering these questions without shout outs. So I may not answer that question about the shout outs because I'll technically have already made them. So otherwise this video is going to be far too long. So, but yeah, I've got a couple here, which I was very glad to find through the VC. I was watching a guy called Andrew from Tales from the Crate, who I think is based in California. And his channel's amazing. I mean, his knowledge is just astonishing. He loves his punk and blues and, sort of alternative stuff. And he shows some really, really interesting, artists I would never have heard of in a million years, and he talks very eloquently about them, and yeah, it's some of them, it does make you want to go and investigate them. But he mentioned he mentioned this album. In fact, I think he showed this album a couple of times with this artist. But I'll before I show the album, I'll put it into context. This is an album which I'm sure a lot of you have obviously heard of, Thomas Dolby. And this is an album called The Flat Earth, which is his second studio album from 1983. Yeah, I'm a huge Thomas Dolby fan. I think he's amazingly original artist, both as a producer and production wise, but also the songs and the density of the songs and the sounds that he gets, really, really good. And I think none of that was better displayed than on this album. But my favorite track on this that I absolutely love and just I find so hypnotic and haunting is track number 6, which is I Scare Myself. Okay, and when I looked at the credits, I found out that this was recorded by somebody called D. Hicks. I thought, D. Hicks, who on earth's that? I thought, because when I first heard it, I thought, it's just another Thomas Dolby song. Clearly it wasn't. But it's got this, this jazzy feel and sort of haunting feel. I scare myself, and just like absolutely just took me places, loved it, absolutely loved it. Anyway, so Andrew showed this album, which is Strike It Rich, and this is by Dan Hicks, and this is the guy who was responsible for writing I Scare Myself. And I'd never seen this album, and I didn't know who Dan Hicks was. This is Dan. It's called Dan. His band is actually Dan Hicks and his Hot Licks. I'm not sure if this is his second or third album. I think he did a live album before this, which I'd like to pick up. I'd love to pick up all his records because they're superb. But yeah, the version. This, which I guess is the original version, is markedly different to Thomas Dolby's version, some 20 odd years later. you know, this band is incredible. I mean, they're like a kind of jug band almost, or, you know, kind of the skiffily, jazzy, country. I don't know. It's very hard to sort of pigeonhole Dan Hicks, really. Um, but yeah, it's kind of a fusion of all these things, and I love artists like that have this kind of. They're not necessarily stuck in a genre. You know, they kind of mutate into loads of different sounds, and they embrace loads of different sounds and loads of different instruments and so on, and into their sound. And you know, there's kind of dissonant fiddles on this, and you know, but incredible playing, and you know, sort of very fast acoustic guitar playing, you know, jazzy, sort of almost like kind of ragtime, I suppose, you know. Just fabulous, and harmonies going on in the background with the girls, female singers in the background, and wonderful, wonderful record. It's in this superb gimmick cover, of course, Strike It Rich, with the like a sort of flip box of matches, which I thought was very clever as well. But yeah, really grateful to Andrew for showing this, because I just wouldn't have, yeah, I wouldn't have known about this album without him, and his recommendation absolutely was just, yeah, I was sold, and I had to find a copy. I actually found this at a record show, I think a couple of years ago. I think it was about £10 or something like that, so not too bad. But yeah, that's you know, definitely a great find that came through the VC, which I'm very, very grateful to. So, and go check out Andrew's channel if you haven't already. Wonderful. Tales from the Crate. Okay. So, yeah. This is another one that was quite recent that I sort of heard of. I mean, obviously I'd heard of the artist, but not seen this album. I think Randall Weaver showed this, and I think James Griffiths might have shown this as well. This is Stan Getz Quartet featuring Astrid Gilberto, Gets a Go-Go. Yeah, I'd already really liked Astrid Gilberto anyway. Gilberto, is it Gilberto or Gilberto? I wish maybe somebody could tell me. I don't know, but this is great. Yeah, as I say, I'm still on the lookout for the. I keep talking about this. Their first collaboration with a girl from Ipanema. Hopefully, sooner rather than later, I'll come across that. But yeah, that was another one anyway that was shown in the VC, which I'm very pleased to pick up and now have in my collection. Okay, so show favourite albums for your collection. I've done this quite a bit recently on competition videos and so on. Because I don't want to show the same records again, so I'll probably go for this one. This is I love this record, and this was the first one that I'd actually heard by them when it was re-released on Rykodisc, I think in about 1992. I think Teenage Fan Club were kind of involved with their with them becoming popular again. And this is Big Star's third, or as it was released or re-released at the time, as Sister Lovers. Yeah, this is just astonishingly amazing album. Even more incredible when you think that it was made under such difficult circumstances, and the band was sort of falling to bits, literally, and the music kind of reflects that. But it's, and it's sometimes it's so fragile that it's almost sort of held together by air, just amazing. I mean, you can really, there's some records out there that are talked about, endless column inches about them as being seminal, amazing records that are, this, that, and the other, and blah, 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 blah. But, I think everything that's ever been said about this particular album is absolutely spot on the money, because it's just a phenomenal record. And you know, in the 20, nearly 30 years since this has come into my life, I've there hasn't been probably a month gone by when I haven't put this album on, listen to some of the tracks. Yeah, just superb. I'm not going to go through individual tracks on this because I just love the whole album. There's nothing untoward about this at all. Every song is just fantastic. I don't know if I had to pick a favorite. I don't know. Some of the upbeat ones I love. Thank You Friends, Jesus Christ, Stroke It Noel. With the string quartets on them and so on. It's wonderful. I mean, they were influenced by all the great British bands, like the Beatles, Kinks, and so on, and the quirkiness in the songwriting, and but just they call it sort of the birth of power pop, but I think it goes far deeper than that. This album works on so many levels, and clearly transcends genres, and everybody just who you talk to just is gushing about this record, and for good reason. Absolutely a favorite, as is this one, which is Chris Bell, I Am the Cosmos. I think recorded in '74, but wasn't released until posthumously, I think, after his death. But this is just superb. I mean, this is, for me, almost as good as any Big Star album. I Am the Cosmos, Speed of Sound's wonderful, achingly beautiful, You and Your Sister. I mean, I remember just, playing that to my mum, and that stopped my mum in her tracks. She just said, "Who's this? This is incredible." Just the emotion and the feeling in his voice, achingly beautiful. Wonderful, fabulous record. Okay, so I'm on to the shout-out section now. I'm going to go through these quite quickly because obviously I've spent some time on featured some VC members already, but I would like to give a big shout out to two guys in particular. First one is Rob Walker, Let the Music Play. Right from the outset, when I started making videos in January, Rob was straight onto my video and commenting and saying how much he enjoyed my introduction, and welcome, very welcoming with his comments and so on. He's got a great channel from Manchester, up north of England, very much into his sort of indie rock and mod stuff, as he highlighted in his last video. Big fan of the Who and the Jam, Paul Weller, and so on. He talks knowledgeably about the music. The passion and the love comes through again, which is what you want to hear, because we all feel it, we all get it. Great guy. And the other one is a gentleman by the name of Richard McCook. I unfortunately got his name wrong once on uploading a video. I've had rather a lot to drink, which we sort of, we had a bit of a laugh about. I did apologise, but he's a fellow from Ireland, wonderful guy. Again, knowledgeable, does these amazing ranking videos. If you've never watched Richard's channel, he's the absolute master at ranking. He'll go through an entire discography of a band with their albums or singles. Nothing escapes his you know, his sort of journalistic eye. Yeah, it's superb stuff. Really, really good, entertaining, and he puts his own spin and opinions on it, which sometimes I agree with, sometimes you don't, but you know, it's interesting anyway. So, but yeah, he's again been very, very supportive. So yeah, they're two very special VC members as far as I'm concerned. Another guy who doesn't get shouted out very often, who I really, really like, is old Johnny Seed. Johnny Seed Vinyl. I think he's based in Blackpool. And he's a lovely guy. I really like Johnny. He's he's very funny, and he does videos about all sorts, not just music. You know, if you check his channel out, he does, you know, he's done these videos where he's kind of he's bought sort of food from the local shop or supermarket, and he's doing taste testing and stuff, you know, and whatever. And they're just the expressions on his face when he's eating the stuff. It's just absolutely. It's just, I've literally. I mean, I'm almost crying with laughing now. They've just had me in absolute bits, and you know, if ever I felt down or depressed, I've just watched one of Johnny's videos, and really cheered me up. Wonderful guy, you know, really is. But yeah, he talks a lot about, he does music as well, obviously, you know, just check him out. He's a great entertainer. You know, 20 minutes will just fly by. You watch his videos. Yeah. Another one I'd like to shout out is Down Under, old Dean from Grandma's Handbag. Wonderful guy. He's been very supportive of my channel as well. Yeah, he's always, you know, his calling card is always, you know, with his little helper that he has, which I like. I love those little quirky things that, you know, people put into their videos, you know, and yeah, you know, so it's always grandma's helper and, excuse me, you know, and, but yeah, he's very, very knowledgeable. He did a terrific video quite recently, actually, about Indigenous Australian music, which was utterly fascinating, and he's clearly got a deep love for that, and you know, wants to support those artists that, you know, are looking after the sort of culture and heritage of Australia, like with the Aborigines and so on, because obviously, you know, so much of their land gets you know, taken from them, and you know, they're sometimes disenfranchised and so on, and you know, he was very passionate about that, and some of the music that was, you know, albeit, you know, some quite politically leaning, was just wonderful. The bits that he played, and you know, had he not, you know, made that video, some of these artists would never have. I certainly would never have heard of them or come across them. So I was really, really grateful for him doing that. You know, and yeah, there was a kind of pride there, you know, when he was talking about that, and that was, yeah, it was poignant, you know, and yeah, made for a really, really good video. So yeah, that's Dean and Grandma's Handbag. He's definitely worth checking out if you've not checked out his channel. So yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, Norman Maslow, what can you say about him? The Mr. Whack-a-Mole himself, fabulous. Did some interesting videos with his, I think he's got an archivist that's been helping him archive his vast record collection. I mean, it's just, you know, it's just like an entire house filled, you know, filled to the brim with vinyl and CDs and all sorts, and you know, endless stories I'm sure he's got to tell about everyone. So yeah, he's great as well. Yeah, and then the last one I'd like to mention is a gentleman by the name of, I think his name's John, Baggy Hi-Fi, I think his title of his video of his channel. Not altogether too sure where he's based, but he's done a few videos. He started, I think, just before me, I think in the autumn of last year. But he's only got about 15 subscribers, and you know, he seems a really pleasant guy, very polite, you know, presents himself well, and yeah, you know, he seems to like his kind of prog, and yeah, he did a video on a couple of psychedelic compilations which I'd not seen, and mentioned some artists I wasn't familiar with, so that was interesting. So yeah, go and check John out at Baggy Hi-Fi, and you know, I think he could do with a bit of a boost, you know, and some you know, it'd be nice for him to get some extra subscribers. So yeah, okay, so God, what are we up to? 35 minutes. Oh my God, so sorry, Bill. You know, fast forward through this. You're watching it if you want. It's going on a hell of a long time. But yeah, quickly just answering the bonus question, which is he obviously, Bill, yeah, he's a huge Genesis fan, and he asked us what was his favorite album from the threesome lineup, obviously. So I guess after Steve Hackett left and so on. So yeah, and asked what was his favorite album and favorite track, I believe. Okay, now I know that he was a bit of a crafty here, because he said that the answer is actually somewhere on his videos. I did do my best to try and trawl through them and, you know, see if I could come across it and sort of cheat. Unfortunately, I failed miserably in my attempts. So, but what I don't know, I just had this kind of feeling, you know, like a revelation. I was out the other day and I was thinking about this. I just thought, I don't know, Duke just keeps coming to mind. Duke, you know, that album. And I would say, so yeah, I'm going to go for Duke. I'm going to say, Bill, that's your favorite from the three lineup is Duke. And your favorite track, Turn It On Again. Yeah, I'm going to go for Turn It On Again. So there you go. I'm all done. 37 minutes. Oh my God, I think this is the longest video I've ever made. But Bill, I'm going to wrap this up now, guys. Anybody who's watching, Bill, many congratulations. Of course, 700 subscribers is just amazing. You're doing really well. Incredible. I'm really glad I've discovered your channel. I'm going to obviously watch you from here on in, and yeah, I look forward to your future videos. But yeah, thanks for putting the competition together, and yeah, best of luck, obviously, everybody else who's entered, and yeah, stay safe, guys, keep well, and enjoy the weekend. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.